Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Good morning. All right. Lauren LaRosa is our special guest co-host this morning. Now, I was going to ask Charlamagne in some quick sports. Let's get in some front page news. Did you watch the Bucks play last night?
I did watch the Bucks play.
They look good.
I watched the Bucks play the 76ers last night. They do look good.
They look good.
Damian Lillard dropped 39 points last night. I don't think they look better than the Celtics, though, but that's just my personal opinion. I think if Kristaps Porzingis stays healthy and plays like he played the other night, how much he had the other night? Like 30?
He had 30 the other night. Yeah.
And he's like the third option for the Celtics? You got Tatum, you got Brown.
Brown didn't do good that other game, yeah.
But boy, when Brown is on and Tatum is on and Porzingis on at the same time, they're gonna be hard to beat. And with Drew Holiday?
Yeah, Drew Holiday, yeah. But them Bucks look good last night, I ain't gonna lie.
They look cool. They look decent.
They look good. All right, well, let's get in some front page news. Good morning, Tez.
Good morning, DJ MV. Good morning, Charlamagne the God, Lauren, and the Breakfast Club family.
Good morning, beautiful.
Peace, Tez.
Now, agents are still searching for the shooter?
Yeah, I was watching that late last night. I don't know if you guys were. They had the house surrounded. It's been more than a day since the manhunt began for Robert Card. Now, he's the suspect in Wednesday's night shooting rampage that left at least 18 people dead. Now, I'm saying at least 18 people because I've seen some reports say 22. Some said at least 18, so I want to go with that. Remember, this story is constantly developing, so information does change. Now, he is facing an arrest warrant for 8 counts of murder and should be considered armed and dangerous. The SWAT team was at his house, his last known address, on yesterday, but obviously he was not there. They're releasing some more details about his Twitter account and possible motives. Let's take a listen.
On his Twitter page, Card liked right-wing posts, including by Tucker Carlson, Donald Trump Jr., Republican members of Congress, and multiple posts criticizing President Biden on the economy. His social media also shows photos of him fishing. The Coast Guard is also part of the search. Card's vehicle was found at a boat ramp less than 20 miles from the shooting scene, and public records show he owned a boat. According to another former soldier who served with Card, he had extensive training, including land navigation. Quote, so he would be very comfortable in the woods. Law enforcement sources say Card recently split up with a longtime girlfriend, and they're pursuing a theory that he allegedly targeted the bowling alley and bar because he used to go there with her and was supposed to be at the bar that night.
Based on our investigation, we believe this is someone that should not be approached.
You know, I don't understand why we politicize these things. Like, politicizing these things is why we cannot ever get to the roots of these issues. The guy was institutionalized. He was institutionalized for hearing voices. Like I think we should be leading with that. Like, I'm looking at the front of the New York Post, and it says, suspect heard voices, yet was free to own weapon of war used to kill 18.
That is crazy.
That should be the conversation.
Yeah.
Like, not about what he was liking on, social media in regard to political ideologies. Like, the conversation should be, why was this man who clearly was institutionalized with some form of mental health issues was able to own this legal firearm? Own this firearm. Yeah.
Plural.
Well, yeah.
Plural.
Yeah.
Firearms.
Well, they'll definitely be talking about that too. When they bring that up, they'll say they're politicizing that too, because again, it's another argument to have based upon gun reform. Right. And, should people be able to carry weapons if they've had any type of mental problems? You heard where they talked about he was comfortable in the woods. So they don't know if he might be in the woods, if he got on his boat. They said if he did that, he would have to refuel and probably be noticed. So it's really interesting. Right now, again, this is all speculation. Details will continue to unfold, and we'll just see, what happens. But I think now they're just trying to find anything they can to try to make sense of it. But there is no sense you really can make of this. So
I think he did. I think he killed himself.
I don't think he killed himself.
Really? I don't think so either.
No, I think he's surviving it, and I think it's adding to whatever, how they get that thrill off of this stuff.
Yeah, I think he's alive too. All right. Well, that's front page news. Tez, we'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Absolutely.
Everybody else, get it off your chest. 800-585-1051. If you're upset, you need to vent, hit us up right now. Maybe your favorite team won or lost last night. Maybe you're going through something, or maybe you feel blessed. Whatever it may be. 800-585-1051. Get it off your chest. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
All right. Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got Lauren LaRosa, our special guest host. And let's get in some front page news. All right. Good morning, Tez.
Good morning, DJ Envy. Good morning, Lauren. Good morning, Charlamagne the God.
The Hood Whisperer, Tesla Figaro, what's happening?
Now, what is the FDA saying now?
Yeah, about medicine that is not working properly, decongestants that we've all taken. Now, just before cold and flu season is about to kick off, the Ford and The Food and Drug Administration Advisory Panel last month reported that the oral decongestant that Americans have relied on for nearly 20 years may not be working. Let's take a listen.
Well, if you got the sniffles, your over-the-counter cold medicine may not help.
An FDA panel concluded phenylephrine, a key ingredient in many over-the-counter cold and allergy medications, doesn't actually work to get rid of nasal congestion. How about that? The FDA says it has been monitoring the ingredient found in drugs such as Sudafed PE and some versions of Benadryl and Vicks since the agency last reviewed it in 2007. When taken orally, the panel concluded a very small amount of the drug actually reaches the nose to relieve congestion. The FDA will now need to decide whether to revoke its status as an over-the-counter medication. Health experts say the ingredient pseudoephedrine is an effective alternative, but it must be requested from a pharmacist.
So let me ask you a question. For all these years that I'm sure everybody in this room has taken Sudafed or something with some type of decongestion in it, could you sue? Because you paid for it, and obviously they said it wasn't in there to work.
You can't sue if it worked, because you don't know if it worked or not. Clearly it worked at some point.
Would Dayquil be on that list? That worked.
Yeah, because Dayquil is on that list. It's saying popular versions of Sudafed, Dayquil, and other medications. And just to give you guys some additional information, you know how you have to go behind the counter now to get Sudafed because of the methamphetamines and people making drugs and syrup and all of this stuff, right? You guys
I thought that was because people steal it.
No, it's because it was passed the Combat Methamphetamine Epidemic Act that happened that made a lot of these drugs go behind the counter. So a lot of folks are upset saying all this time you've had people go through, jump through these hoops to get this medicine. And the medicine, doesn't really work. So now CVS is saying they're taking it off the shelves. But I want to throw it out that there's a larger conversation on how this got behind the counter in the first place.
That's great. That had a lot to do with Lil Wayne and all them rappers talking about sipping on.
Yeah, with syrup. Yeah, that is. Well, that's a part of it too. So
I never thought about that. I'm so I literally thought they just put stuff behind the counter that people come in and normally steal.
But no, some people were stealing it. They were stealing it because it was in such high demand because people were using it for recreational drugs
and methamphetamine. So the methamphetamine really is what took it up. So you guys never watched Breaking Bad, Lauren?
I did.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
And
they was in there getting all this Sudafed and so you can only get like a certain amount at a time. Right. And so it was all a part of that. And so now that it's going to bring up some public policy on this as well. Like what happened with that? How do they still combat methamphetamine? Did it really help by putting it over the counter? So just a larger conversation you guys can look into.
I will say, as far as the decongestants are concerned, let's go back to more holistic ways of doing things. Like my wife be putting together all types of plant-based concoctions like honey and all types of leaves and boiling and filtering all type of stuff. I don't know what it is. I just know it tastes good and it works. So, let's go back to like maybe doing some more holistic type of medications for each other.
I need to start that now. I just brought my grandma some Dayquil. Gotta call her and tell her.
Dayquil works for me.
But what happens if you're taking it? Like, is there something wrong with you? Like if you're taking it right now.
They're not saying that something's wrong with it per se. They're just saying that, what you thought that it was going to do is not as strong as you thought. But the larger conversation is about how the FDA, got involved with this act that they passed and why did they do it and what was the motive, so it's a larger conversation. But I think if you take Dayquil and it works for you, it works for me, you continue to take it, I would assume. But CVS is saying they're pulling from the store. So we don't know. So it's still developing, but just something to look out for as we go into cold and flu season.
Okay. All right. Now let's jump to the White House. What's going on in the White House?
Okay, well, Charlamagne, AI is going to be an AI executive order on Monday that is supposed to drop. The Biden administration is reportedly set to unveil a broad executive order on artificial intelligence next week. The White House's sweeping AI executive order would use the federal government's purchasing power to enforce requirements on AI models before the government agencies can use them. Now, the order will allegedly require advanced AR models to undergo a series of assessments before federal agencies can adopt them. In addition, it would ease immigration for highly skilled workers, which has been heavily restricted during the Trump administration. Federal agencies, including the Department of Defense, Energy Department, and intelligence branches, would also like to have access on how they can incorporate AI into their work. So this is supposed to be called the Safe, Secure, and Trustworthy Artificial Intelligence. So do you trust it, Charlamagne? Have they convinced you? What's up? Because I know you're not a big AI guy.
No, I don't trust it. But I mean, you know, the way this country is going, you know, we don't have any great options. So I think the White House is just preparing to say, you know what, here's an AI president for y'all. You know what I mean?
President.
Instead of y'all having to go out there and make the choice between Trump or Biden, we just gonna put it on autopilot for the
We're gonna
time
create
being.
one. Nah.
Would the AI president be white or black?
That's a great question. It wouldn't have a race. It'd just be a robot. But it would be programmed by a bunch of white people, so it'd probably be white.
Oh, so when they say stupid stuff, they can say, well, it's not us.
That's right.
It's a tech glitch.
That's right.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that they're getting involved in this on an executive order level. You know what I mean? It's gonna be really interesting to see what this all does. And so now, you know, folks are gonna say the government is in charge of all things AI. So well, they were anyway, right? So we'll see what that looks like on Monday.
All right. Well, that is front page news. Thank you, Tez. Have a good weekend.
Absolutely. You too.
And make sure you follow at Teslin Figaro on all social media platforms and subscribe to the Straight Shot No Chaser podcast on the Black Effect iHeartRadio podcast network.
Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.